Well, welcome once again to the Ahern video podcast. Today I want to talk about maintenance cost. I'm receiving a lot of calls from clients and potential clients saying all of a sudden my maintenance costs are escalating. I don't know why. My equipment's relatively new. We should be getting better utilization on MP miles per gallon. These trucks shouldn't be in the shop, and what do I do? First thing I ask is, what kind of program do you have? Well, we have a program. What does it consist of? And they tell me, and I said, well, you don't have controls in your department. Fundamental rule of thumb, every department has to have controls. Fundamental rule of thumb, every department has to have specific goals and objectives. Fundamental rule of thumb, you need to hold your people accountable for results. And rule of thumb, you need to control your costs by looking over somebody's shoulders. So in maintenance, it's a very high expense for many companies. It's a line item expense. It can directly impact the bottom line. First thing you need to do is you should set up the shop as a separate profit center. You should set up average shop times. You should set up a rule that no expense over $250 can be authorized unless it's approved by a third party, whether it's the owner of the company, and the reason is, or the chief financial officer, or an accounting person, because you don't want someone to spend your money if it's not absolutely necessary. You have to make sure that your work assignments, they clock in and out on a specific time period, and that's tied directly into the repair of that specific truck. Every time you add a part, every time you do repairs, you should be able to track that part to that specific tractor or trailer. You want to set up your equipment into groups of categories. You want to give your director of maintenance, if you have a director of maintenance, specific goals and objectives. And he or she has to have a bonus tied into achieving those goals and objectives. If you're purchasing inventory, somebody has to do an inventory once a week, not once a month, and you need to track it to the part, track it to the truck. Many times inventory is walking out the door because nobody does any inventory control. I'm not saying that's happening in your business, but you don't know. Every time there's a breakdown on the road, you need to audit the bill. If there's a breakdown on the road, you need to get a price. You need to find out exactly what it's going to cost. You need to find out how long that truck's going to be out of service, because when that truck's out of service, it directly impacts your cost. Out of service units are a big issue today, because if those trucks are out of service and you don't know why they're out of service and they're not generating revenue, but you're still making payments on it, you have a double operating loss. First thing you need to do is, if trucks are out of service for a specific period of time, why are they out of service? 2, how long have they been out of service? 3, when are they going to return to service? When you look at your maintenance department, it's all about control, control, control. It's all about setting up specific goals and objectives. You need to be able to track maintenance to the drivers. If you assign a driver to a specific truck, if that driver has more wear and tear on a truck of a similar nature than another driver, that driver could, for all practical purposes, be abusing that truck. If one driver gets better MPA miles per gallon than another driver, there should be an incentive. Pre- and post-petition inspections are mandatory, yet a lot of times they don't happen. Make it mandatory. When you bring a truck in the shop, make sure you know how long it's been in the shop when it goes out of the shop. Many times trailers, there's no real tracking program, so you just bring them in and you keep maintaining them on a cycle when some have been sitting in the yard and haven't been used. So you're maintaining something that doesn't need to be maintained. If you're out of warranty, you can see if you can extend the lubes on some of the equipment. Go to the manufacturers. On your tire cost, have your tire cost analyzed by 2 or 3 different providers. Rule of thumb, never recap a tire over 5 years. Rule number 2, do not buy a recap on the road. It's somebody else's junk. These are basic things that we've learned over the years by working with the experts. In our business, all of our auditors are ex-presidents and CEOs of trucking, logistics, and warehousing operations. They've been through the battle scars. They know what to look for. They know how to establish programs. They know how to establish processes, and you learn. One of the most important things that you have to realize is, you may be overstaffed, but do you put a surgeon, do you put a plumber in to do a surgeon's job? So you have some key things. Operations, very key. Head of dispatch, very key. Maintenance, very key. So hire the best of the best. Don't take somebody that's working for you that may have been a mechanic and stick them into your maintenance department and expect that they're going to be able to perform open heart surgery. It's not that they're not nice people, but they don't have the knowledge. Knowledge is power. And today, the more knowledge you have, the more powerful you become, the better are you able to reduce your expenses. So maintenance is a key area for people that own trucks and trailers. Make sure that you have a very tight program. Make sure that it's monitored. Make sure that you monitor the expenses. Make sure you track the parts to the specific piece of equipment. Take an inventory control on a weekly basis, and you will be surprised what happened. And oh, by the way, if you have a maintenance manager and you give that maintenance manager a bonus, if he or she can hit a certain control level within a specific period of time, you might be surprised what will happen. Until next time, thank you for attending the podcast.